What's up, everybody? My name is Harrison First. I'm your host today. I'm a musician, artist, DJ, and I'm also the head of music at Tri-Roll, which is a social token infrastructure company. And today we have an amazing panel of creators and builders in Web3 in the music space. And I'll just let them introduce themselves and then we'll get into some questions. So,
hello. I'm Benny. I'm Benny, the founder of Foundry. And basically, Foundry is a platform for any artist to release music in a format that they've never released before, which is some generative format that combines the stems that they write into unique collectibles and is able to work with any artist from any genre to make those collectibles.
Hey, I'm Cryptopianist from 0x Music. I wrote all of the code for 0x Music. And in a nutshell, our Genesis collection is 777 audio-visual DJs, each of which can create an infinite number of songs. So really, in a way, this is a new way of experiencing music.
Hi, I'm Tim Exile. I'm the founder of Endlesss, Endlesss FM, that's Endlesss with 3 S's. Which is a social loop pedal that allows you to create music live, either solo or with other people around the world. And we're just about to roll out our first NFT collection experience, which basically allows you to share out a link to any creative process you're in live, which allow people to tune into what you're doing and then collect those individual riffs as NFTs.
All right, so I guess I thought we had Andre in here, but I guess we'll get it started. So pretty much we'll have some questions just to get the panel started and get your perspective on certain like hot topics and trends that we're seeing in music Web3, and we'll just get it naturally flowing, guys. So the first thing or first statement I wanted to kind of mention is, as creators, continue to build in Web3 and further the development of music NFTs in this space, I think we'll start to see more and more people look at this way of releasing music from a multifaceted approach, as opposed to like this singular approach. From the looks of this, you guys and the startups that you're building, you're tapping into elements that could potentially have great value to musicians creating in this space. Would you guys agree, or what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I'm happy to take a stab at that. So really, I think certainly for our project 0x Music, and I'm pretty sure even for the other projects here, what we're really talking about is a way to represent music in Web3, which was really not possible in Web2. So when you think about the fact that the longest album on Spotify is like 20 hours or something like that, and 0x Music, our collection can create basically infinite songs, how do you represent something like that on Web2? So I think what we're doing is we're challenging this notion of how you experience music, how you both represent music and how you both experience it.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. And I think, expanding on that, obviously being able to reach, if this truly, goes on, the algorithmic music can make, thousands and thousands of outputs. A lot of different people get to experience it in different ways. And I think that kind of goes to just the collaboration that we're experiencing in this space right now. I think, in terms of Foundry, these artists get to release 900 songs to their, anywhere from 900 to, 10,000 songs to their top collectors, and get their collectors involved, right? Where I think of Spotify, and I think at the end of the year, Spotify will kind of let their artists know, you've got a couple of people that listen to you more than anybody else, but you don't actually get to know those people. Whereas in this space, it's very easy to kind of find those people because they're the ones collecting your tokens, right? And then if on Foundry, you can grab the stems. And remix, people's music. So it allows these artists to collaborate with their collectors, even if they don't know how to make music. There's still easy ways for people to get involved in the space and make music together.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. What's really exciting to me about what's going on right now is this kind of the big unbundling of music as well. It's like, it's not just new experiences. It's new ways to kind of maybe one of the trends that we'll see more of in Web3 is instead of artists kind of building up to these big drops and spending a long time making music and then spending a long time putting together a marketing campaign, that actually will see this more kind of gamified, unbundled, like atomic approach where you can maybe collect something small from an artist, maybe the sort of the $1 NFT, where the things that you collect from your artist, you might collect 2, 3, 4, 5 different things in a day, which kind of actually give you a much more kind of bespoke experience, both as a collector and allows you to be more sort of spontaneous as a creator as well.
Yeah, I agree with what all three of you guys said. It is really like a multifaceted thing that is growing here, and it's like more dimensions to just listening to music and hopefully getting discovered by the algorithms. But speaking about algorithms, are we heading to an age where more music is made part by algorithms? How do we see fans reacting to this type of music?
Yeah, so I totally, there's definitely a balance between human and computer because, when people are listening to music, they don't care whether or not a computer made it, whether or not a human made it. They're listening to it and thinking, does this relate to me? Can I imagine my, is this my music, right? And when you allow a computer to have too much control, or maybe the person behind the algorithm is focused too much on just, is this algorithm going to make music that is perfect, or whatever objective perfection means, right, for music. And I don't think that truly exists. So definitely, I like to see kind of like a balance between, who's the guy behind the algorithm, and that could totally turn into something fantastic. I've heard a lot of music that I totally relate to, where there's 1,000 outputs, and each one of them sounds different because it's driven by some algorithm, but it's still there's some human behind it, and I can feel the story that they were trying to capture in their music. So yeah, definitely pushing for a balance between human and algorithm, and I see that being possible as maybe making the billboards or whatever.
Yeah, and just to expand on that for a second, I definitely agree with everything Benny said. And the one thing I'll point out is that algorithmic music is still created by humans for humans. And I think this is something to really underscore, is that at the end of the day, when you listen to a song, what is it that you like? So let's say I'm just giving a hypothetical, you were on the tonic chord and then you go to the minor fourth. So in layman speak, that's a combination that's actually evokes a certain emotion. Now, these algorithms aren't just creating random blips and bloops, right? They were coded by humans with love and care, and hopefully leading these songs to the same kind of like inflections, creating tension, creating resolution. So what it really is, what is an algorithm? What are these algorithms really doing? The way I look at it is it's a new language to basically represent the music. When you think about how we've kind of progressed with musical representation, it began with sheet music, right? And sheet music certainly has its limitations. You end up with these static pieces, but with algorithms, you are now bringing in the ability for technology to have a much bigger role in creating pieces that aren't static but are dynamic, that can change over time. And it fundamentally challenges the notion of what music really is. And I think when the mass market actually understands this and when they grab their head, it's such a radical pivot when you actually think about it. But when they do it, they won't get enough. And I think interactive art, generative art is definitely going to be at the foray of a new renaissance of music.
Yeah, I think the two words that pop out at me here are the new value proposition of what's happening in Web3, which is much more about relevance and context. We're moving out of an age where everything was all relied so heavily on content, so heavily on delivering this kind of like AAA experience that was expensive to produce and expensive to distribute, and everybody would pay their fixed price to go and get that experience. And we're moving into a world where we can be a lot more bespoke, and what those bespoke things mean. The way people value those bespoke things is much more about finding an individual's place, like in relationship to an artist, in relationship to a project. So what's driving value in Web3 is relevance and context. And I think it's really great to kind of see that value proposition itself, but all other media, to completely new ways of delivering that value to collectors, to creators, to curators, to like everybody in between in this ecosystem.
Wow. And I actually have a follow-up question for that for everyone here on the panel. Do you think that this has the potential to move music from the hands of like a musician into the hands of, you know, more of a coder or a developer? And do you think that might be like a paradigm shift that music lovers might not be able to grasp or, you know, adapt in such a mass appeal type of way? Because when we think of like your favorite artist, you think about maybe the story behind them, or like, oh, they went through this, and you know, and it has more of a story where people are buying the story of the person as opposed to just the music. Or what's your guys' take on that?
Yeah. So, you know, Cryptopianist over here obviously, you know, knows music, you know, is when he's making these algorithms, thinks about the music and thinks about it in the same way that any other musician would. But there's also, you know, not musicians who know how to code. And I don't necessarily think that it would be, you know, always bringing it into the hands of the coder when we're talking about algorithmic music. Like at Beat Foundry, we've worked with two artists, Oshi and Daniel Allen, who have nothing, they have no knowledge whatsoever about coding, right? But we turn their music into generative music in a more simplified format. You know, rather than truly working deep into the algorithms, we just had them write music, and with the music that they had written, turn it into music that all sounds good based on some rules that we set on our end, right? And I think, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for artists who have no idea how to code to release their music in these new formats, and still take advantage of the fact that they're going to release something that, you know, is unique for each collector. And still sounds good, right? Because each output that we release, you know, could totally be a mainstream hit. The initial songs that the artists get to us before we turn them into something generative, you know, it's just an album, right? It's just the music they've written. So I foresee there being different ways to get there, to get to that mainstream status. It could be somebody like Cryptopianist, who is the musician and the coder. But for people, you know, I definitely want to push for people to have the accessibility, right? So that any artist, whether or not they know how to code or not, can make music in these new formats and can produce something that still sounds amazing and can reach mainstream.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that as well. I'd like to challenge the notion that this is a zero-sum game, right? So when you think about the fact that in 1968, when the Beatles released Helter Skelter, everybody said, "Oh my God, this is hard rock music. It's going to replace existing rock and roll." But now the idea that, you know, hard rock and techno can't exist, you know, together in a world is also pretty ridiculous. So I think basically what I'm getting to is that all of these things can exist together, and I think they will exist together, right? There's still going to be singer-songwriters just creating music from an acoustic guitar. There's still going to be techno, but now, in addition to that, there's going to be, you know, maybe a new genre of music that's driven by a lot of mathematics. And that could be a thing. I mean, there's a lot of resistance to it potentially, but you know, I think that's how this is the role technology has in music. It always pushes music to new frontiers, and the headline is there's always room for more. Heck, I want to hear new music all the time, so sign me up.
Amazing. Yeah, Harrison, you mentioned music lovers, and I think I always that whole idea of music lovers is a concept that I always use to kind of orientate my thinking around this. And I think, you know, we're in an age where people really just want to find the signal in the noise. They want, rather than having to sift through loads of different content, they want to find the thing that they can interact with and engage with and be intimate with. And I think this is, you know, all the opportunities that lie ahead of us are in finding ways to make everything we do about building relationships. And, you know, that doesn't have to be, you know, sending chat messages. That doesn't have to be liking posts. That doesn't have to be making music or listening to music or coding music. I think, you know, it's a way to approach the way that we craft experiences, and the way we build tools to kind of bring people into contact with each other. So, you know, one of the things that we're working on at Endlesss, obviously, is this. It's a mechanism for collaborating with people conversationally in music. But you know, as we start to spin this into a protocol, we're looking at how could this look like with coding, that you could sort of collaboratively code with people in real time, be conversational. I think, for me, that's what's really important with anything that we're building this new world. We have to make it conversational. We have to make it, we have to give people opportunity to come into relationship with other people and then track, the history of that relationship. That's what's so powerful about the blockchain, is it allows us to do that.
Great. And would you guys, and as we wind down, I think we have around 4 minutes left. Definitely want to get to this last question. Would you guys say this form of creating makes people or makes it more accessible for people to make music, and opens up maybe the floodgates for anybody and everyone to say, hey, I want to make music this way. So what's your perspective on that? Or is it a bad or a good thing?
I can jump in for this one. So with 0x Music, we actually launched the ability to download a MIDI file for any of the trillions of songs that you hear. So now basically what happens, if you think about it, is people listen to these songs, and when they like something they hear, they download the MIDI file and they open it up in their DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. And all of a sudden we've converted a collector to a producer in a sense. Because, as a music producer, the dreaded feeling of opening a blank digital audio workstation and having to start from scratch. But what our project has given is the ability for collectors to actually start with a starting point and then change it, add their own human elements. So we've seen our collectors create, tons of songs and community creations, and that's what the next phase of our project is also going to go to. So the short answer to your question is absolutely.
I would definitely use that to sample, because I actually already do download MIDI files to sample projects. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things that we want to do is open up music creation to as many people who want to have a go as possible. And I think also that as we move to the age of relevance and context, I think it makes more sense nowadays to make music for 20 people. And maybe it's not as it's not as pristine and well produced as the music that's made for 1 million people, but it's a different context. It gives, as a creator, it gives you an opportunity to express yourself, and it also allows you to develop intimacy with, say, 10, 20, 30 other people. So I think this is absolutely where things are going.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree that being able to capture value from 20 people as opposed to being forced to capture value from 1 million people definitely makes it a lot easier for anybody to get involved, whether or not, if they like music that is more niche, they can get involved and create music that way. But also I see this kind of push towards more CC0 or similar licensing for music. And, like Cryptopianist was saying, people are pulling music from these artists that already kind of give them this baseline, right? This starting point, right? That allows people to make music from that music. Whereas before, if you had a record label that controlled the music, you wouldn't be able to make music and then release it or do whatever you want with it from somebody else's music. You couldn't just grab Kanye's music and turn it into something else and then release it and make money off it. Whereas, we kind of, in this space, we're pushing for a more collaborative and free use, kind of make what you will of it with these tokenized versions of songs. So I definitely see that being kind of Web3 native, that I hope kind of pushes into the mainstream, allowing people to just remix any music and become a part of it, whether or not you're a professional musician and going to make that song that's going to get 1 million streams on Spotify, or you can just remix a little bit, change some of the sounds, but you like it and you're going to release it for your 20 friends.
Great answers, guys. I feel like all the stuff that we mentioned here today is like super valuable. And like for me, when I personally listen to you guys speak, I see that now society has kind of met up with this new form of technology and is really like opening up doors for many different creators that people haven't heard of or that haven't had that opportunity to kind of like shine light on what they're doing. And the way you guys are building these amazing platforms is definitely opening up some really super cool innovations in collaboration. And I think this is going to be wonderful. I know it's definitely going to be advantageous to millions of people. So I know we have about a couple seconds left. On that note, thank you, everybody who joined. Thank you for the panelists, and we're going to hand it back over to the MC. I'm out.